Well, I like it.
You do like it.
I don't like this bit that I'm eating now.
You know,
Sorry, I don't have a phone number for Laura Francis. Who do you want to call?
unbelievable.
That's got to stay in.
The cameraman left Siri on.
That is disgusting. That makes me want to absolutely ejaculate vomit.
Hello and welcome to Spooning with me, Mark Wogan. You join me here within the hallowed portals of the Groucho Club where this podcast is recorded. Each week, my special guests will have two specific dishes created for them to challenge their food loves and their supposed food hates. The difference is they'll be eating them blindfolded. You can follow me at Spooning with Mark Wogan through all the usual social media channels, plus we've got a YouTube page. So, my guest this week is a man of many guises. He's been a scientist, a comedian, an actor, and now he's an author. Please welcome Ben Miller. Ben, welcome to Spooning with Mark Wogan.
Thank you so much. You were just telling me a fascinating fact, actually, before we started. You told me, I don't know if this is true, you said you can't melt.
Never lie.
You can't melt Cadbury's flake.
You can't melt a Cadbury's flake. Try it. When you get home, try it in the microwave, try it in a pan. It retains its shape.
What about one of those, like the things that you
a blowtorch?
A blowtorch, thank you.
Blowtorch?
Yeah.
I've never tried a blowtorch. I will try that this weekend.
Yeah.
Now, you are here with us today because we are going to challenge your perceptions about what you say you love food-wise and what you think you hate. Because the whole principle of this is there's really no such thing as a bad ingredient. You've just had it cooked badly for you.
Okay, I don't like this premise, but yeah.
But before we get into that, I think we should give you a little drink here.
Here we go.
First.
This is a nice.
So this is your favourite drink.
I think I know what that is.
Tell us what that is.
This is a drink actually that I got into when I was making Death in Paradise in the Caribbean. So I don't drink alcohol. Everyone was drinking tea punch, they called it. I think that stands for little punch, but I'm not quite sure. And what it would be quite a lot of rum, and then it would be some tonic water. A slice of lime. I've kind of adapted it. So I've nixed the rum. What I've got is I've got my tonic water, I've got my slice of lime, which, by the way, is on its own a fantastic drink in its own right. And then I've added a little pinch of Angostura bitters, just for a little bit of
flavor. A little bit of dryness almost, isn't it?
A naughty dryness. Yeah.
Now, interestingly, another version of that is you swap out the tonic water for ginger ale, right? That is called a Brandon Flowers.
A Brandon Flowers.
Because that's what he drinks.
That's what he drinks?
That's what he drinks.
Is he a non-alcohol drinker
I don't
as well?
know, but that is his preferred beverage. I know this. I don't know why I know this.
That'd be a bit sweet for me. I think that'd be a bit sweet.
I like a bit of ginger ale every so often.
Yeah, I like a bit of ginger ale every so often.
Yeah.
But having drunk it non-stop for about 10 years before I discovered this, I just couldn't go back.
But you see,
I couldn't go back to ginger.
As an also fellow non-drinker of a number of years, we both had a shady past. I can start with one of those, but I can't stay on it. I then go to water with the basic principle that water's already boring, so you can't get bored of it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like water, but water is surprisingly hard to come by at any kind of place where you're offered drinks. That's what I find. And there's a kind of drink apartheid.
Well, no, there's this thing,
right?
Isn't it? So you go, do you have any water? Tap, all right. No, it's not.
Or they go to you and say, can I have some water? I'd love some water. And they go, okay. And that means, and then nothing happens. That's what I find. They get everyone a huge drink comes like a bath with sort of bits of pineapple and stuff sticking out of it for everybody else. And you go, there's water around? They go, what? What? A glass of water? And they go, oh, right. Yeah. You really meant that.
But it is sort of changing, isn't it?
It is. It's changing a lot.
I'm not a fan of a...
Can I sip this just to make sure you have made it?
It is yours. Yeah. It is yours to sip away.
Oh, that is good. Oh, that is good. Yeah.
Now, you might need that to wash away the taste of this.
Okay.
Because this was one of the things you said you absolutely hate.
This?
Can you guess what that is?
Is it lamb's urine?
No. Try as I might, I couldn't get the lamb to pee directly into the shot glass. But just
Call
have a
yourself
sniff
a countryman.
of it. I know.
Yeah.
I've only lived in the country for 2 years.
Have a sniff of it. Yeah, it is lamb's urine. What's it?
Look, well, you put it down as a drink you
It's not giving anything away.
hate. Give it a sip.
Okay.
Give it a sip.
No idea what that is. It certainly doesn't taste nice.
It's aloe vera juice.
Yeah.
You have a loathing of aloe. You stated very clearly that you
It's supposed
hate.
to be good for you, isn't it? I just don't like it. What I really hate about aloe vera juice is when you buy a bottle of aloe vera juice. What the merry hell is that stuff in the bottom? It's like little beads of sort of glutinous. I'm assuming it's aloe vera, but like in a sort of
Like
pustular ball
frog
form.
spawn.
What the hell? Yes, like frog spawn in the bottom. That is disgusting. That makes me want to absolutely ejaculate vomit. I mean, it's just horrendous. It's slimy and it's slippery. So you drink this juice, which I rest my case, tastes quite like lamb's urine. And then when you
But
drain
I like
it to the
fact
bottom,
that you're going for some more.
well, it's supposed to be good for you, isn't it? I mean, like most things,
I mean,
are good for
you
It's
don't actually
thoroughly
have to
unpleasant.
drink it
I don't
anymore.
want
You
to
can
drink
wash it away with your
but it's-
favourite drink.
But it's the texture of those frog spawny things in the bottom.
Well, that's why I don't get bubble tea. Bubble tea.
That's the same thing.
It's like-
what is it?
I don't understand
My
it.
children are obsessed with bubble tea. It's so disgusting.
Well,
They
it's
never
like-
drink it though. It's like the other stuff, Prime. They go, "Oh, Dad, please can I have some Prime?" And they're literally like, "Oh God!" And then they keep the can.
They keep the can or the bottle because
this is
some
the thing.
influencers.
The
have said it's
influencer told them it
delightful.
was wonderful. Yeah.
Now-
Same with bubble tea, isn't it?
Going back to your youth. You, how was it? I know it's a long time ago for us. Right back, but how was food growing up for you at home? Was good cooks in the house? How was it? It's fine. Your mother will never see this.
There was a good Bavarian chocolate cake that came out occasionally. Should we leave it there?
Was that from Iceland?
I think it was a different time. It was a different time. It was very much the, meat. Meat was the focus. Like it'd be a chop, it'd be a lamb chop, it'd be a pork chop. It was always meats.
But you grew up in Nantwich.
In Nantwich, in Cheshire.
Yeah.
Yeah. With lots of wonderful, wonderful food around.
None in the home.
There was a Bavarian chocolate cake that was very nice. It was nice. It was good. It was like a kind of biscuit, like a very solid. It was really, really nice. That was fantastic. I loved caramel pudding. I used to make that myself. You get out of the packet, get some milk, and you'd add. This really was. It's like I was brought up in the sort of Second World War, wasn't it? It was a bit like the Second World War. I mean, it was the '60s. It wasn't that long after the Second World War, and you'd have some milk in a bowl, and you'd have some powder, and you'd put the powder in the milk, stir it around. I guess that was some sort of dried custard, and then that would set in the fridge, and that was called a caramel pudding.
Well, I mean, that's just Angel Delight, isn't it?
No, it wasn't Angel Delight. That one you get some milk, and you put some powder in the milk, and then you get a whisk.
Oh,
very
I see.
different.
Very
different.
The key thing is the whisk there. But you left Nantwich, and because you are infinitely brighter than you make out,
Wouldn't be hard.
you went to Cambridge. Now, do a lot of people know that you're actually a scientist? I mean, I know you did a program that sort of alluded to it a while back, but
It's a bit of funny. I'm basically a bit spectrumy, and like my normal everyday intelligence
is that a diagnosis?
Below.
Self-diagnosis?
Yeah, it's spectrumy.
Okay.
My normal sort of everyday intelligence is a bit below average. But I've got a weird kind of, a bit like some people stare at pubs and then sort of draw them sort of freehand. I've got a bit of a weird thing with sort of mathematics and physics. So it's kind of, I was really, as I say, pretty average at everything else, but good at that. So that's what I did at university.
well, you had to be pretty good because you went to Cambridge.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I wasn't
speaking-
as good as most people at Cambridge. I mean, they were really good at it.
And was that because you then turned to the dramatic arts. You felt,
Yes,
I need another string to my bow here.
It was partly that. It was also partly that I did a lot of it. So I stayed on to do a PhD as well, which I really, really enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed the degree, but it was quite full on. But my PhD was a bit less workload, and I was really, really enjoying it. And I got one of the best jobs I think you can probably get, which I was working in Cambridge Science Park, and there was a company there was like research and development, which is basically inventing stuff. So I'd work with a team, sort of inventing things. We worked on, can we invent a new type of hearing aid? So can we take...
Sorry, terrible.
Good joke. Bad for me for not getting a joke. God, this is going to really... People are just going to be switching this podcast off.
No, they'll put it on
piezoelectric
1.5.
crystals. Anybody into piezoelectric crystals? So basically we'd invented, they'll kind of look into anti-pilfering devices we worked on. And I thought, this is as good a job as you can possibly get. And I was there one night, and we'd invented this kind of type of security gate. And the idea was, I won't go into the sort of the ins and outs of it, but basically it was a way of stopping people stealing things from shops. And you'd have to pass through this gate, as you often do now. You pass through a gate. You often don't see that it's there, but there's a gate there. And as you pass through the gate, you set off a signal that shows that you haven't paid for whatever it was. And I was at night, I had this Hall probe, which is a small device. It's actually a type of crystal, on a probe, and I'm measuring this can measure magnetic fields. I can measure the strength of the magnetic field. So basically I'm there, and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning. I've got this gate, it's an anti-pilfering device. I've got this Hall probe, and I just measure the Hall probe. It's on a stand. I'm holding it, and so I'm trying to get a 3-dimensional measurement of this field, holding it on the stand, and I move it just like 1 centimetre that way. Right, what's the thing? Okay, right down in my notebook. I moved it 1 centimetre. I went like that, and I thought, I'm going home. It was literally like that. I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go home. And I put the ball down for it, and I got a post-it note, and I write, I am leaving, and I am never coming back. And I stuck it on the gate. And they phoned me up. At my, because I was living in Cambridge. They phoned me up 2 days later and said, "Did you leave? Did you leave when you were measuring the magnetic field of that gate? Did you leave a sticker saying that you're not coming back?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "But don't you want your money?" And I said, "No, I don't want the money. I'm just never coming back." They said, "Okay, fair enough." And then I thought, well, I've got to find something else to do. And I guess I then kind of sort of committed to doing comedy, which I'd done a bit of when I was doing my PhD and had really enjoyed. But at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm really going to go for this.
And you met some bloke other people might have heard of.
Alexander Armstrong. Yeah, it was so fantastic. So I'd left for about a year. I did some fringe plays and stuff.
Can I tell you something? I sent him a WhatsApp informing him that I was beginning doing this.
Yeah.
Never even replied.
Yeah, I mean...
Thanks.
No, I mean, he's probably changed his number. So I met Xander, and it was in that year. So I'd been at it, I was sharing a flat with Jez Butterworth, actually, and he was in a play.
He's done well.
He's done very well. He was in a play with Xander. He told me about Xander. Then we met. We had this fantastic night, me, Jez, and Xander on a barge that Xander was living on in Chiswick, where we got very, very drunk and he was playing piano and we were kind of singing songs all night. And it was just, I thought, well, this beats measuring the magnetic field of a security gate.
Most things do.
Just. Yeah. So then we started doing doing sketches in comedy clubs and then built up our act. I think I'd have left in about 91, and by about 94 we had an act, went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, got absolutely hammered. And I remember the review that we got, the one that really broke my heart, was in Time Out comedy section, it said, Armstrong and Miller have invented a new kind of comedy, one that isn't funny and has no jokes whatsoever.
But you didn't take that as a sign, and you persevered.
No, and that was the making of us, really. I think at that point we thought, okay, well, it's, we knew it was working for some people because it was working in the clubs we were doing. We obviously we haven't found a way yet of doing this. And then we really worked hard. I mean, we worked properly hard for 2 years, sort of non-stop, and went back 2 years later with it was the difference between night and day. Really,
it was funny and
it was actually funny, and it had some jokes. Yeah.
And then pretty much quickly after that, you got picked up to do your own show.
Yeah, well, it's the other thing you need a lot of in life, is there's an immense amount of luck. So we just happened to kind of come to the boil just as there was a huge need on TV for sketch shows, because The Far Show had been a massive, massive hit, and TV shows, TV companies were suddenly desperate to get sketch comedy on TV. Up to then, it had only been stand-up comedy, and we were incredibly lucky, and we got onto the Paramount Comedy Channel, and which is now called Comedy Central or something, I think. But anyway, and then we went from there to Channel 4, and then from there to the BBC. Yeah.
Now that show, looking back at it now, which I loved. I mean, I think it'd be fair to say that comedy and what is perceived or is allowed to be funny has changed a lot.
Well, that was the other thing. Very lucky for it to be a time when people really wanted to see comedy. I mean, the reason the TV companies were so desperate to find sketch comedy, there was a huge appetite for it. There was a huge hunger for it. I'm not sure exactly why. But comedy was, in the 90s, that comedy seems really hard to believe now, but it was incredibly popular. It was sort of vying with music, which was also incredibly popular in terms of the size of that industry.
There was two types of rock and roll in a funny
sort of
way.
There kind of were, and comedians were playing, you'd play big venues, and you'd get invited to amazing parties. You'd end up drinking this, but like with a lot of rum in it.
And we met around that time.
We did.
And around that time, I think it would be fair to say you had quite a striking signature look.
When you say that, I mean, it was just normal to me at the time.
Which was with very cropped, white blonde
hair. It was
a good look.
I don't know what
it was a good look.
That was about. You say that, but I have, to me, at the time, that seemed absolutely normal to have really short white hair. Essentially, it wasn't even sort of blonde.
White.
You couldn't say it was bleached blonde hair. It was white. It was really peculiar.
I was part of the whole sort of edgy comedy scene.
Comedy was edgy. It was like you had to be a bit. I must think you had to be a bit.
And I mean, you and Alexander were permanently taking your clothes off at any given chance. I mean, so many of your sketches involved nudity.
Nude. We do a lot of sketches nude. Really was very different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We do a lot of sketches nude. I had white hair. At one point, I even remember growing a sort of goatee beard that was black. That I remember, I think even with an eyeliner pencilized to make very black, and then have completely white hair. The fashions were quite sort of interesting, quite louche. Mm-hmm. The fashions for men and gentle them were quite louche. So sort of, it's a little odd. It's a bit sort of, you never thought you'd be living in a time when you'd be referring to it as odd, because it seemed completely normal at the time. But it's funny through the lens of where we are now. It seems very peculiar.
You and Zander had what was a really successful show.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And then you both just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
Why was that?
I think, that's a really, really interesting question, and it was for a number of reasons. I think it was a real art form to us doing that. I mean, it was very much an art form, and we had to feel that we were constantly making progress with what we were doing, and we made such a lot of. We generated so much stuff in such a short time. I think we took a break. We made about 4 shows, and then took a break, and then did another 4 shows. And by the time we did another 4 shows, I think it got to the point where we were as amazing as it is, as incredible as it is. What are you going to do? For me, what are you going to do when you reach that point and you think, I'm probably as good at this as I'm going to get? I'm probably not going to get any better. I'm probably going to get worse. And there's a sense for me as well that the comedy I've always enjoyed is a younger man's thing. And I think as an older man, I feel slightly uncomfortable with comedy because I kind of think.
But do you think that's
you
because...
need to punch up with comedy? Yeah. You need to be a kind of... you need to have bleached blonde hair and a weird goatee beard and be on the outside looking in and you're like, yeah, the lot of you can just go to hell.
But
in a rock and roll way. I'm going to make a funny sketch about
comedy has changed now, and it's the ability to push the envelope. It's not sort of allowed, and I think that's why maybe it's gone live because you can still go and get that live, but I think not going to be put on TV
again,
anymore.
There's a huge number of different things involved. There's still edgy comedy, but it's in different formats. It's on TikTok or it's on it's in shorter form. Is no longer on TV. There's lots of it out there, but it's just on YouTube or it's in other places. There is still great comedy around. I think, is it just fair to say people got a bit bored of it as well? It's like there was a lot of it on for a long time, and people I miss
sketch shows though.
Yeah, I miss sketch shows. Yeah, I miss sketch shows.
I miss the Fast Show. I miss Armstrong and Miller.
But they were very
Smack the Pony.
But yeah, I love that. I love and Harry and Paul. I think they are incredibly expensive to make as well, that sort of thing. So they've got to get huge audiences. And it probably it'll go in a cycle and start to come around again. And I'm sure it'll be some amazing new sketch thing will come along at some point.
So you decided I am no longer able to be funny. So I'm now going to go.
I am not funny anymore.
I'm not funny anymore.
I need to retire.
I was funny. I need to retire.
I was funny. I'm not funny now. What am I going to do?
And you became an actor. Not that you weren't acting already. Of all the things, so there's Primeval, there's Death in Paradise.
Yes.
What do you have the fondest memories of?
Well, the things that still really stick out, Death in Paradise really sticks out. It's such an unusual. It was such an odd. It feels like a wind-up when somebody says to you, "Okay, there's the joke for actors is, and my next show is filming in the Caribbean." It's like a joke, and then they phone you and they say, "Okay, so we've got a show. It's filming in the Caribbean," and you go, "Yeah." And I remember looking up where Guadeloupe was, and I got it wrong. I thought, it must be Guadeloupe in Mexico. It couldn't be Guadeloupe in the Caribbean. And no, sure enough. That show is mad, and it's mad. That is actually filmed. It's a British show and a French show, and it films in the Caribbean. I don't think that's ever happened, and it won't happen again. It's just an utterly bizarre thing to be involved. So you are genuinely on a Caribbean island for months and months and months on end.
How awful.
Yeah,
or does it get awful?
It's brilliant and it's awful because it's such a long way away, and your family aren't there. But then it's amazing. You're on a beach, and it is the Caribbean, and it's incredible. And the culture of the island is amazing. And where we film is so Guadeloupe, where we film, there's sort of two main islands. One is called Grande Terre, one is called Basse Terre. Basse Terre is the one we film on, and there's a huge volcano, active volcano, right in the middle of it. It's surrounded by rainforest. It's the most incredible. Just the stuff that lives there, the stuff that pokes its head out of the vegetation occasionally, it just gives you pause. It's just amazing. You can have the most amazing time. But again, you kind of get to that. I get sort of itchy feet at a point, and then I sort of want to do something else.
It was another post-it moment.
Yeah, there's another post-it moment. And then it's a recurring theme, that, isn't it?
Well, you appear to have had a post-it moment with acting, because then you went, no, I'm going to be an author instead.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're on your 11th book.
Yes, yeah.
Which I have to say I've read.
Yeah, well, that's way beyond the call.
No, I've read and enjoyed it, and it is Once Upon a Legend.
Yes.
And it is a story of giants all linked in with Merlin and...
Yes,
and the Knights of the Round Table, there's a nod to that.
Yeah,
You've sort of incorporated a lot of things, but there's a lovely sort of moral story in there as well. And sort of,
Sorry, I don't have a phone number for Laura Francis. Who do you want to call?
Unbelievable.
That's got to stay in. I think if we can just leave that in.
I'd just like to say the cameraman left Siri on. Anyway, Back to your book,
Are
Ben.
you secretly Googling Laura Francis?
No comments.
You know you can't get people's numbers from Google. That's just not how it works.
No. Poor Laura Francis. That restraining order has even made its way to
Laura.
Siri.
Laura, it's on record if there's a problem.
Anyway, back to Once Upon a Legend. Would you turn your phone off? There we go. Thank you. But
No, I don't have a number for Joanna Lumley.
But this book is actually great. And I mean, I don't know what age in particular your books are aimed at. Is it sort of pre-teen?
Well, my kids, really. I started writing them when I had kids. And it's sort of, I guess I'm sort of aiming like 6, 7 and up. And you're right. You know, I kind of felt that when my own kids started reading stories, I feel like there's nothing there for kids who want something a bit more classic, who want something. So my stories are kind of adventure. They're magical. They have strong morals. They're really about. They're really about, and I think that's something that children are really, really interested in. Is like, you know, what's the right template for living? You know, what sort of, how should you set your compass if you want to kind of find your way through life? You know, how are you going to navigate it?
You know, you cover the subject of divorce, and you cover the anxiety that kids may feel around that, and how do they cope with that, and you cover, you know, how to combat difficult behaviour and all those things. So it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it, and I have to say, I may go and read some more of your things now, because it might actually teach me how to be a better parent. But there is one thing in this book, and you raise it, and it is a very, very important debate, which is that of these. The Jaffa Cake.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in the book, there is the, what are they called? The tea time...
The tea time assortment.
The tea time assortment.
A sort of motley crew of vintage plane enthusiasts who rally towards the end of the story to help Marcus defeat the giants of the story.
And one of them, they're all named after biscuits, and one of them wants to be called Jaffa Cake, but Colin is insistent that it's not a biscuit, and therefore he can't be called Jaffa Cake.
Yes, so one of them's called custard cream, so it's custard cream calling malted milk, custard cream calling malted milk, and he calls it, his call sign is Jaffa Cake, and they all just, they all pounce on him.
Now, the
Jaffa Cake's not a biscuit.
The Jaffa Cake is divisive in so many ways.
Yeah.
One, because...
I hate the things.
You hate them?
Yeah.
So you we've got a whole plate of them here. We were going to experiment with various ways of eating the Jaffa Cake.
Oh, right, okay.
Because if it's not a biscuit, why is it in the biscuit aisle?
What is it? It's the clue's in the name. It's a cake. It's clearly a cake.
Now, because obviously there's the approach where, because of its roundness and its softness, you can get a good half-moon bite into it. Oh, well. What, you see?
What is that stuff in it? I mean, is it marmalade? What is it?
No, it's like an orange jelly.
What is this?
Hold on. Look, the scientist is coming out now.
Look at this.
He's dissecting it.
Look at this. We've got essentially a sponge substrate, but it's quite a dry sponge substrate.
On its own, not that appealing.
On its own, not that appealing. Then we've got a very thin layer of very
orange
thick
jelly.
Orange. I'd say marmalade, but it tastes like marmalade. Okay. Yeah. It's marmalade, but it's got no peel in it.
And then some cheap, crappy chocolate over the top.
And then some chocolate that I just think...
has quite a low cocoa bean.
I was going to say, if that's ever been anywhere near a cocoa bean, it was just because it was close to some other biscuits.
But therefore...
in the chocolate, in the biscuit.
So you've taken a scientific approach to that. Is it a cake or a biscuit?
100% that is a cake. And I'll tell you why it's a cake. It's this. It's
the sponge.
It's this sponge layer here. This is what... It's this curious... really strange, mushroomy, sort of fungal sponge.
I mean, when you pull it apart...
Do you know why I don't like these things?
Why don't you like them?
Because my sister loved them when we were kids. She was mad on Jaffa Cakes. My sister Bronwyn, funnily enough, had a very odd diet when she was a child. She only ate cold baked beans from the tin and Jaffa Cakes. Those are the only two things.
And she made it to adulthood?
She's absolutely fine. 100% healthy adult. I mean, it defies belief, but that's true. So if she ever wanted a pudding, it would be a Jaffa Cake. And I saw that in combination with cold baked beans so many times that sort of by association, it's funny how that happens. Well, food is emotional. Don't you think food is emotional? It's like a kind of emotion. You develop there in a sort of like a kind of.
Well, we're going to now move to the point in the podcast where we play slightly upon your emotions.
Okay.
Because I'm going to
try the sponge because it's just got to be.
Try the sponge.
It's quite dry.
It's dry and unappealing. I like a Jaffa Cake.
You like them?
I like a Jaffa Cake.
How would you improve it?
I wouldn't. I can eat it.
You can't. It's unimprovable.
It's unimprovable. It's kind
perfection.
Of.
Pure perfection.
Could you put more chocolate on it? Yes.
Yeah, you could have a bit more potato.
Would you like a sponge without the sort of marmalade in it? I'm not mad on the orange bit.
In your view, a cake or a biscuit?
Oh, it's a cake.
It's a cake.
But it annoys me that it's in the biscuit aisle.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be in the biscuit aisle.
100%.
Right, moving on from this.
Yeah.
We've got to that point in proceedings. I'm going to move that out of your way.
Okay.
We've got to the point in proceedings where I get this little item out and I ask you to put it on.
It's not the first time someone's put one of these on in the Groucho Club, is it?
No. Certainly not on this show, anyway. Right.
Okay.
So, I'm bringing in the first one.
I got to say, I feel quite vulnerable now.
Good. That's the whole idea.
Yeah, okay, good.
So, I am removing the cloche.
Oh, this smells good.
In front of you.
Oh, what is this?
Now, I'm going to feed you.
Okay.
Okay. So, careful, don't lean on that.
No.
So, open wide, here it comes. Now, tell me what you're experiencing, what the flavours are. Tell us all about that.
It's chicken. It's absolutely delicious. It could be a tagine, could be like a tagine, or I'm getting some wonderful, wonderful flavours. Very not hot, but full of flavour and spice. Oh, it's so good.
You can take the blindfold off and observe it, because there is another one there. Should you've enjoyed it, you can have it. So
what is that?
So you've actually got a kofta, so a meatball.
That's lamb.
Yeah, spiced with.
That tasted like chicken.
I know. You see, this is the problem. You remove the site, it throws everything out, and then we've got a little spiced chutney with that as well. So it plays to your love of all things Morocco.
That's insane. That's very clever.
You see, the minute you take out sight, all bets are off.
But also, here's the strangest thing.
I tell you one thing that's for definite is the cameraman will be upset because he won't be able to get a cutaway of that because you ate it. But there we go.
But here's the strangest thing. The texture to me seemed like chicken. It wasn't just the taste. It was like, that's a lovely kind of, when it has a little bit of a kind of patina on the top of it where it's been like seared. It had that kind of texture as well.
But
amazing.
We put that one together based on your love of all things Morocco. Why Morocco? Why have you fallen? Because you have a home there.
I do, yeah.
Morocco really is in your DNA
really
now.
Is. I love it. I was there yesterday. I think so many things. It's Moroccans, really. I really, really, I just adore Moroccan culture. And it all started when I was a student. And you could, the interrailing thing. So you could interrail. There's probably something still like that going. But for a fairly large but not impossible sum of money, like about 100 quid when I was... So this was in the late 80s. You could go for a month. You could go on any train you wanted, anywhere. And people would usually go around Europe. They'd go to Greece and they'd go to the Greek islands and then they'd come back. But I read the small print and I realised that you could, on an Interrail card, you could actually go around North Africa as well. So the same Interrail card for the same price would take you could drive, and I figured out that you could go all the way around the Mediterranean and then cross from Sicily into Tunisia and then go all the way around the railway system in North Africa. And there was a railway running all the way from, pretty much from, where did we go across? I don't know where you cross into Tunisia, but all the way around the coast of Tunisia, then Algeria, then Morocco. And I did it because I really wanted to go to Algeria. I was really fascinated by Algeria. It was communist at the time, and it was the nearest communist country to the UK, and it was just kind of a news blackout. I didn't know anything about it. And when I was there, it was like the year before, it was quite a serious revolution. So it was quite a febrile country, and it was quite dangerous, actually. So the people were amazing.
Incredibly pleased you were there as a young man.
Well, luckily, then nobody knew how dangerous it was. So when the revolution happened the following year, I wasn't that surprised, but the world in general was. Travelling in these amazing railway carriages on these amazing railways all around the sort of north of Algeria. But I have to confess to wanting to go to Algeria quite quickly, because every time I got out, there was like nearly a sort of, it was just kicking off, wherever you were. And then I got to Morocco, and it was just amazing. I just instantly felt at home, and the Moroccans were just so welcoming. There's a thing that happened when you're a student traveling in Morocco. First of all, they think you're going to buy a carpet. So they take you to their sort of uncle's carpet shop, and they try and get you to buy a carpet, and you just say, I've actually got no money. I've got nothing, And they go, yeah. Come to the ceramic shop. So they go to say, you can buy this bowl in my brother's ceramic shop. You say, no, I literally haven't got a penny. So they say, okay, go and buy this tagine, this fantastic tagine, or this teapot. And you go, you really don't get it. I've got nothing. They go, oh, you really have nothing? Have everything that I have. So then I was invited to people's homes. They fed me, they gave me a place to stay, because by then my money had really run out. So I'd gone all the way around. I was like on the last leg of the journey. I had such a brilliant time, and that sort of has been almost like an umbilical bond with that country ever since. And then obviously kept going back. And then I didn't go to Marrakesh that time, but everyone I spoke to in Morocco said, you have to come back and go to Marrakesh. And when I did finally visit Marrakesh, I was completely, that's something, for me, that's a completely magical city with just, it's ancient, but it's so, and there's a way of life that's been really, really well preserved, but they are sort of super smart, super educated, and it's very contemporary as well. And Morocco's in just a city of country, just such, it's like one of the solar power is huge in Morocco. Lots of great car manufacturing is done in Morocco, and at the same time there are these artisans in the souk basically doing stuff out of the Bible. I mean, you walk around the corner and it could be, there's some guy banging on a bit of metal.
So you continue to love Morocco.
I do,
and all things Moroccan food. I've got another set of spoons for you here. So I'm just going to move that one out of the way. If you wouldn't mind, sir, popping your blindfold back on one more time.
Okay.
Is that on and secure?
Do you know I wear one of these at night? I mean, I'm really into
what you do in your private time is none of our concern here. But in front of you now is 2 spoons again. And I will feed you this spoon again. And this, we're hoping, will take you back to your childhood. Open wide.
Okay.
Tell me what you're experiencing there.
Well, I like it.
You do like it?
It's crunchy.
Any other flavours coming through?
Is there a kind of cider vinegar type flavour?
There's a little hint of sharpness in there.
Yeah. I don't like this bit that I'm eating now.
What? Can tell me why you don't like that?
This is horrible. Whatever this is. It tastes like mushrooms or something. Oh, it's horrible. That's really bad. How could you do this to me?
Could it be that it's one thing you put down as something you hate, which is ox liver?
Oh.
You can take the blindfold.
But how could that be crunchy? Because you put a little thing on it.
Yes, we got a little... So I take it you won't be having the second spoon of that.
Oh, that's so gross. That is so gross. Literally.
What is it with you?
I literally want to be sick. I literally want to throw up. Oh, I want to be sick. Oh, well, I hate that because when I was at school, this is what they fed us. It was trays of the most disgusting grey liver, and someone would have to be server. And it always used to make me laugh because the server would always save the smallest bit of liver for themselves. Like completely the opposite to the way it always works with everything else at school. So here's a huge piece for you, man, and here's a really nice big bit for you, Mark, and here's a tiny bit of liver for me. It was so disgusting.
So no matter how hard Chef has tried, we have not been able to master the horrors that is ox liver.
I was happy with the crunchy bit, and I was happy with the there's kind of like a salsa almost with it, and I liked the taste of the salsa. But then when I got to the liver, it's like, what is this?
Well, look, let's end things on a high note with your favourite, which is your guilty pleasure of some halva.
Oh,
you can eat that now or take it home. But I would just like to say thank you so much, Ben Miller, for agreeing to spoon with me. And I hope you've enjoyed the experience.
You only had to ask, Mark.
And I hope that your book, Once Upon a Legend, sells in the millions of copies. Thank you. A massive thank you to Ben Miller for joining us today. His book, Once Upon a Legend, is out now to buy. You can follow us at Spooning with Mark Wogan through all the usual social media channels. My guest next week is the fabulous Helen Skelton.